Shalom, Rastafari. Yes, I. God bless. Give thanks and praise. This your Wyndham Raz Baruch Hu Teferi. You know what I mean? And yeah, amen. Hopefully we get to see this soon. You know what I mean? Hopefully we get to see this soon. And I think it really comes down to when the brothers and sisters, when the brethren in the street, when they I think when they get to the point of who really serves the Almighty Hashem and who serves Satan. You know what I'm saying? Even in the streets, even the gangsters have to, what I'm saying, eventually come to those decisions of who is for the Almighty and who is for the wicked and the evil. You know what I mean? Because that is real community, foundational community building. You know what I mean? That we got to get to. You know what I mean? Give thanks. Shouts out to Wyndham Ayasong for the word art. You know what I mean? For the word art. You see, you got Black Israel right there on the left. You know what I mean? The band of brothers. And then on the right, you got the King of Kings, Gedamawi Haile Selassie. I love the way the colors went together. That was beautiful, fam. You know what I mean? So we can see the true representation of the colors at the bottom, my brothers. You know what I mean? United soldiers, you know what I mean? For one effort under Almighty, Ha Elohim, Jah Rastafari. Speaking of reparations, for the Black Americans, I think for us, if we get reparations, you know what I mean? There's there's a way that we need to go about as far as community building, community structure and rebuilding, as far as all of the other, because there's a lot of nonsense they try to use on us. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to, persuade you otherwise. They're going to take your mind in other directions, have you worried about other stuff. But our main thing right now, it is this. It is the reparation. It is this, us as we Black Israel. We are Black Jews, you know what I'm saying, over here in America. And you know what? Also, I want to say to the other peoples that are coming in, the migrants and some of the brothers and sisters that's coming from other continents over here, you know what I mean? I think we both have to recognize each other's struggle. You know what I'm saying? When you come in here, you gotta recognize what the people here have been through, whether they from your continent or not, because you got brothers and sisters that's from other places that have been here in America for generations on generations, some of them. So they, in that general sense, if they've been here that long, they would be considered, those Black Americans also, you know what I mean? Depending on how many generations. You got the ones that, they have just gotten here and whatever struggle or whatever they went through in their own community, the reason they came up here into America to try to get whatever they want to get. Now, the issue is that we didn't vouch whether for or against that situation, because our main thing is that the same people who run the system, they allowed, the migrants to come on in here and do whatever it is they need to do. But at the same time, we have to get what is promised to us. We need our reparations. And that's not really pointing a finger at them, because you have to remember the same system that owe us reparations is the same system that gives them benefits and the things that they need to survive and work and labor and whatever else they need over here. You know what I mean? So what we have to understand is that we have to demand that what we need. You understand? We have to ask for what we need under the Almighty Hashem, so that we can build these cities up for our children, those of y'all who are truly in the church. You know what I mean? Truly in the Black church, because there's a true Black church spirit, and then there's a false one. You know what I mean? And we know that there's a false one ran by popular propaganda and a bunch of stuff that's going on, because the same people will tell you can rely on them for something you need if you get in a bad situation or employment. But these ain't like the days of the 50s, is it? When Black people who, got their money up were thinking to rebuild the Black community and a place in America, or go to the promised land, Ethiopia, Shashamani, if you will, really, 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 because that's where we really need to be trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? It's the promised land. You know what I'm saying? Ethiopia, Mama Africa, if you will, all of Saudi Arabia, the boundaries, the real boundaries, you know what I mean? I'm not finna dwell into that right now. But the important part is that we're far from the 50s where Black men of prominent success, you know what I'm saying? They would come up they get their money together, and they would get together and decide how we were going to rebuild the community, how we were going to, restructure the community so that these other brothers that's going through what they going through, these poor niggas, you know what I mean? Whatever they going through, that they get the opportunity to get paid what they need to get paid so that we can work together and build up our own community, just like we see other people do, mainly white folks, the same thing that you see them do, right? Or that you see them already do, owning their manufacturing companies and so forth. You know what I mean? Now, the area I wanted to go on this, because I want to make the point to where if we get reparation, what is a template pattern to what we can do, right? Now, this is what, you know what I mean? It brought me over to the Tulsa thing, the Black Wall Street thing. And I want to kind of go over some of these things because I think they're very important for us in this time, the way we can utilize what was done in the past. And now we can come back and reconstruct Jerusalem, if you will. You know what I mean? The real Jerusalem over there in the promised land. I think the idea of trying to rebuild here, like this was the promised land. That's where a lot of our elders got stuck at. That's why they don't see the vision very well. They don't see the vision very well. You know, you have to understand, on Kamala's behalf, she can either be a Jezebel. She could be a Jezebel. She could be a Esther. She could be a Deborah, right? But you have to go by what you've already seen happening. Obama, he could have been a Joseph, right? He could have been a Joseph character, or he could have been a Ahab, all right? And then there's other characters who stopped the Black Israelites in their reconstruction of Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? And us as Black Israel, or those Black Jews, Black Americans, us getting reparations is very important to the reconstruction of Jerusalem. You know, it brings back up that point I was thinking about when Ben Stiller was saying he wishes, you know, it's kind of almost like, and for a minute I was like, why you say that? But then I kind of thought about it. It was kind of like word art I felt like he was using. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, as it kind of starting to put together the original Jews, you know, Amos 9:7, aren't you as the children of the Ethiopians to me, Black Israel, the original Black Jews, the Jewish people, you know what I'm saying? And then him wishing he was Black. I thought it was interesting. I was like, wow, that's rather interesting the way he put that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and we need that support from those who are of other communities, or some of these people that you call them by these names, like tethers and whatever that is. Now, some of that is understandable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people come over here. We don't understand they struggle, where they came from. They choose not to understand our struggle, but then they come over here reaping the benefits, not knowing our people gave blood, sweat, and tears, died, went through slavery, been murdered, communities burnt down, people, all sorts of atrocities in order for you to even live over here and go to work and do what you're doing. And it's for all people. It's for all, even white folks, you know what I mean? Because it was the Black folks willing to fight for those rights and that freedom. That's a light to the Gentiles anyway. And we know the main fight is spiritual right now. The main fight is spiritual. There was a time where we were more united and it would have been ground level. It could get ground level too. You know, you never know. You know what I'm saying? But pray by the grace of the Almighty Jah that, you know, things will work out. The Almighty will work on our behalf. And he says that he was going to free us with a mighty hand. So we look very much forward to that. So now I'm over here. I'm looking at this because I think this is a good template for us as Black Americans concerning reparations. So I want to read out this. I seen there's some really good articles on this. I kind of want to make light on the Tulsa, Oklahoma construction and building, because I noticed that when you go on social media, that they had got rid of a lot of those videos about the building and the construction in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Tula, Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? With the Black Wall Street and all of that. And that would, to me, it was like blocking us from seeing our own community rebuilding vision. You know what I'm saying? Because we obviously have fell away from that due to segregation. Okay, we were segregated in, but we were disunified to a point where the majority of us could be in a poverty state while they pander to the other parts that are within their political, you know what I mean, the political organizations and establishment, and then they pander on to what they want, but namely the Democrats. We already know who, you know what I'm saying? We know that at this point, you know what I'm saying? Right now, that's specifically the problem. Why? Because you've been ruling the last 4 years and we're still the number one race in poverty. And while we playing this colored game with who's black and who's not going into the White House, we have to look at the history. As we said, you know, Kamala could be a Jezebel. She could be a Esther. She could be a Deborah. But if we look at her past things that she's done as far as concerning black people, it was the same thing with Obama. He could have been a Joseph, but he's seen more as an Ahab, right? So if you know that story of Ahab and Jezebel in the Bible, you can kind of see where we're coming from. Now, if you take Trump, for example, Trump was an Og kind of figure in the beginning, but then he's become a Cyrus type of character. Okay, so I'm just telling you straight up what it really is. Now, whether you can understand that or not, you want to go back and say Baruch he's in Fantasycle Island or whatever you want to do. I already had these visions probably 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get back with you. I'm gonna get back with you, Aki. You know what I mean? But you'll see it. But I already had these visions of over 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? As far as this, but this is the documentation, you know, that I wanted to read into right here. This is one of them. This is the origins of Black Wall Street. You know what I mean? So I think that the brothers and sisters should get studied up on Black Wall Street and proper black education and curriculum. You know what I mean? There are many books, you know what I'm saying, that we should be utilizing as black people for our children. They should be reading all the black Bible books, all the Ethiopian books, the Ethiopian Book of Jubilee, the Ethiopian Book of Enoch. I believe in Ethiopia, it was said at a time where children knew that by the time they were the age 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? They understood that. The Book of Maccabees, you know what I mean? And the relationship with the Gullah Wars, all right? The Book of Maccabees and the relationship with the Gullah Wars. That's very important, I believe, for not just black people, but mainly black males, black men, and this whole soldier spirit and culture. You understand what I'm saying? From the Almighty, who we don't care about what other people want to say on that level, but from the Almighty, that soldier and that spiritual, and not any other gods. I'm not getting into the African Canaanite stuff and all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming straight from the source. You know what I'm saying? As black Jew soldiers, you know, black American soldiers, like that picture I just showed you just a minute ago. When I see them G's on the street, that's what they remind me of. You understand? And by the grace of the Almighty, we're going to get to that point. So this document right here, so this is just one of them, because there's a few articles that are very important that we need to utilize, okay? As far as the educational system and a construction plan, and on that level, shout out to Umar. Now, the thing with Dr. Umar, he's probably not, I don't know if maybe he hasn't really thought to present it forward, to put it forward, but really he needs a community behind him. All right. You need a community in order to structure all of those things, because it's not just about the school. It's also what I noticed about these brothers when they were building Black Wall Street. We can take knowledge of past blueprints that were put down for us to establish such cities and communities for our children. You understand? Like it said with Moses, build those cities for your children first. Worry about that first. Remember, they was worried about the stocks and they was worried about putting it. No, we want to build up our stocks. No. You need to make sure your children ain't in poverty. Maybe that's what's the problem is with some of these politicians. Maybe you made it, you good, you and your family good, and everybody else who worked in the manufacturing companies, they get paid like ish, and then. But then you want to bring up the idea of education. You say, well, they was miseducated. Well, you live in a country that robbed people of their education. They got to pay back loans, even though they got associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees. That's the dignity and honor of a nation. Why they got to pay for that? You know what I mean? When they showed that they were, how can you say, a staple to American society? That's some nobleman stuff right there. That's honorary things, right? Not just an honorary degree. Don't just throw in my honorary degree. Come work for us and ish on the rest of your people for reparations, right? Like shit on the rest of us, right? Interesting. But in this documentation, let me read here. It says the origins of Black Wall Street. Fueled by the oil boom and Washington's declaration, Black individuals, families from around the country made their way to Tulsa, and worked collaboratively to launch businesses and generate resources to build a self-sufficient, prosperous community. Let me run it back like the battle rap. Right? Let's run it back again, right? So again, it says they made their, you know what I mean? They made their way to Tulsa, right? And work collaboratively to launch businesses, right? So that means they made their way, they found some land, right? That they had granted to them, right? They granted some land. Somehow they went down and granted this. There was this land granted to them, right? And they made their way to Tulsa and work collaboratively and launch businesses and generate resources to build a self-sufficient, prosperous community, right? A prosperous Black community. And there's some other things here. There's one article I really want to get into. So I'm finna go through a couple of the other places, but I think that we should be looking in this direction when it comes to community construction or reconstruction, rebuilding. You know what I'm saying? Has anybody ever read Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams? I want to shout that book out right there. Okay, let's see. Today, the historic. And this right here, this is an example I want to speak about, like the games they be playing. So I want you to pay attention to this. Look, this right here says, does Black Wall Street still exist? Now, we know it doesn't. Okay, we know it doesn't, but this is like, let's mess with their heads. Like, let's give them a holiday. Let's mess them around, right? Today is the historic Greenwood District, named in 2022 to the National Historic Registry, is experiencing its third renaissance. If there's, brothers and sisters, you can go to Tulsa, maybe there's some education you can learn there about how to rebuild, reconstruct what was burnt down. They shot them and murdered those people and burnt the place down. All right. And they did this to many other places too. It's called the Red Summer. So they owe reparations for that too. We were never able to rebuild that. Do you understand? And this is what's important. This is why reparations is important, right? Coming out of slavery, that's number one reason. And the second reason for everything that we try to build up again, it was burned down or was taken from us. Okay. So let's go down here because there's an article I really want to get into for real. And you have to understand the propaganda in the games they gonna play with you. All right. The past, present, future of Black Wall Street. I'm gonna go into that political topic too, of about ones being like Jezebel or a Esther or a Deborah, even, or a Vashti mixed with Jezebel maybe. But we could get a mix like that. You know what I'm saying? We see more of, like we said, the Cyrus and Trump. You know what I mean? I saw the Cyrus and Trump was willing to speak to Ice Cube about the black card for the reparations, right? Then you had those, some could be seen as black devils and even antichrist, even of the mission of black Jews and black Israel here in America. So we really need to understand. All right. So let's look at origins of Black Wall Street. You know what I mean? There are journalists that are hired to write tons of things or blogs on the internet, you know what I mean? To distract black people, if you will. You know what I'm saying? How Black Wall Street built its legacy. All right. Let's see. The reconstruction, origins of Black Wall Street. All right. 9 entrepreneurs who helped build Tulsa's Black Wall Street. All right. So this is all what we will do with reparations. So don't play with the people. Don't be playing with us. We can do what we don't need you to tell us how to spend it. All right, so let's get that right. So when we get that out the gate, we don't need them to tell us how to spend it. We got the blueprints. We got the Bible, and we got many other books that will help us. I mean, mainly the Bible. I mean, that's all we need, because that right there tell you how to reconstruct, build, live. The Jews, those people were getting water in the desert. I remember hearing that from my rabbi on one of his videos. Shout out to the Line of Judah Society Jews, Rastafari Rabbi, Wyndham Yadon, LOJ it is, you know what I mean? RSC, Rastafari South Committee, on the Facebook. Yes, I. Yes, I. Yes, I. So Black Wall Street, segregation made Black Wall Street. Let's see what they're gonna say about segregation, because that really could be a path of where we really went wrong at. You know what I mean? They tell us this segregation, but yet, if you try, you move too far into a white community if you want to. You know what I'm saying? And watch how they treat you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think you should know that. But the plan is that they can have their own cities, or let us have our cities. You know what I'm saying? We take our reparations and we build our cities. We can't say that's not possible. That is a possibility. Stop listening to these fools talking about it's not a possibility when it's been done before in the past. You know what I mean? But a man who doesn't know his own history, you know what I'm saying, is bound to repeat the same mistake. We see brothers and sisters repeating same mistakes of things that they deny that they didn't even read into. So when we go and read into and find the information, tell them, look, it happened then, it happened, here's the evidence. They still will say it can't work. You know what I mean? So you got to watch those kind of people. You know what I mean? Black Wall Street before, during, and after the Tulsa Race Massacre. But let's go back up to that one. It says segregation. Okay, the one at the top here says segregation made Black Wall Street's insular economy a necessity. The necessity, however, okay, here we go. However, coupled with the vision among Greenwood's residents to create a self, right? So this is what they saying. This wasn't this wasn't okay. My bad. I'll take that back. Okay, so it was segregation in that sense. Just with the idea of we were building our own community. So it's the idea of not to build in another community or try to move into another community, but let's build up our own communities. That was the idea. Let's make our own people, let's bring them up there to par. Let's make us all rich, if you will. You know what I mean? Let's not move away from these poor ass niggas. Yeah, you can move away from them, but have a plan, because, of course, if it's chaos going on, you're not going to get no work done, right? So once you move up out of that chaos, plan and reconstruct. Plan and reconstruct. Start the companies that they can go work at, where they can make what they need to make. Build the homes. You know what I'm saying? A working man that's making a decent employment don't have no reason to go out and do no stupid shit. You know what I mean? If he is, he's just a fool. You know what I mean? You have to break a condition. You know what I mean? When the brother was going down there talking about he wanted to get rid of the ratchet stuff, I think when what's the dude, the young rapper was on there talking about 50. You know what I mean? And that brother ain't even that young. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny how our perception, I almost thought it kind of reminded me like he was in high school, but I forgot this brother ain't but 4 years. I'm 40 something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm 40. So this brother's only a few years younger than me, but by the psychology I heard him coming off with, almost sound like he was, and not to put him down in them, but a lot of brothers almost like they just got out of high school still with that mentality, fam. You know what I'm saying? Even on some OG don't need, that's not the mentality OG should have. You should be at the level of a much higher fruition, homie. You should be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? But instead of being a teacher, you need to be taught like the Torah say. You know what I mean? But the reason there is to get rid of immorality and ratchet and degeneracy, because that is not the same as being a Gullah or a Maccabee soldier in that sense. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that's not right that needs to be removed from the community. You know what I mean? Now, we understand the style and, the culture of, I personally think that it's just it's a way of rebelling against, a systematic evil. And one of those ways of rebelling that we developed out of the hip hop culture was some of them things that are considered ratchet. But the thing is that if we were surviving to, just surviving to get in a good place when it was harder to get those opportunities, you know what I mean? The Almighty, he can clearly, I'm sure he could clearly understand that. But then at the same time, when you develop a culture that is ratchet and you already got money and you still doing immoral shit that the Almighty will find to be immoral, so what's the problem that comes in the hands? Is the system still, or is it your mentality? You know what I mean? So you might have to check that mentality so that we can help all our people. You understand what I'm saying? That's really what it's about. It's not about being no star for the wrong reason or being no fool. You're supposed to get on and do what you got to do so that you can bring an investment, you know what I mean, to try to help the black community. You know what I mean? And what if it's that the brothers that got the money to try to help us, they just really don't know what to do? What if they don't know what to do? You know what I'm saying? What if they waiting for you to make the mind of the investment? I kind of on that level sometimes. I sometimes think of to let Barack off the hook. You know, even though he was in there for even though I know he's much more educated and intelligent than that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the fact that black people wasn't ready to be them black Jews. They wasn't really moving like them black Jews or moving like them black Israelites or talking like that or pushing that line, right? I think I heard, I was looking at a clip, I think where Roland Martin said, nobody's ever got anything by demand. You a lie. You a lie. Most of these other peoples and other groups have gotten their rights on demand. On demand, they rights. Even if it's something that the Almighty thought was wrong, the nation still gave them their right because they demanded that right. You know what I mean? So we had to pay attention to really understand, you know what I mean? We got to really know where we came from, what other people need to understand our struggle here in America, how we got to this point, you know what I'm saying? And then we also got to understand where they coming from too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not necessarily... It's nothing about being racist because, black people, they can't be racist within the system in that sense because they don't own the system, right? That constructs your companies and your corporations, or they have no say-so in the money that goes out to the city, even if they're the majority of the people in the city. They don't have no say-so in the infrastructure, where you finna go, where you're gonna put those billions of dollars on in the city, for their community, their tax dollar being counted to them for that matter. And that's one of the plights of the people up north right now. You know what I mean? You got the people up there like, yo, you done moved all these people up in here, right? Or the folks up in Chicago, right? You done moved all these people up in here, right? And even though you moved all these people and if you left us impoverished and then moved them in our community. Now, if you ask me, right? Some people would get it, they be mad at the migrants and all of that. I could understand the frustration, right? But I would really be mad at those who I trusted systematically, who put me in this position and then bought these people on me. Are they trying to get us to war with each other? You know what I'm saying? Are they, you know what I'm saying? Trying to pull some buffoonery. Oh, let these people murder you. Maybe they thought that out. Oh, they'll murder each other for a piece of bread because we'll offer them all a piece of bread. They like rats and dogs to us anyway. You know. Well, the rats is in the rat race. You know what I'm saying? They say the civil rat race, right? It was about that, right? Even though civil rights is just one part of your whole fundamental human rights, but I'm going into the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You know what I mean? So I'm going to a higher platform here, you know what I mean, which is a higher jurisdiction than just the nation, but the nation should be operating under such jurisdiction. You know what I mean? And that's why the Constitution can be looked at as invalid if it didn't cooperate with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the one that was written up right after the Holocaust. I believe it was 1945 when it was chartered, right? Because His Majesty, His Imperial Majesty Kedamawi Haile Selassie, was one of those people to charter that. Also, you got the LULAC, which was started, they said 50 years ago. They were started about, I thought I heard them say 30 days before the assassination of JFK. I believe he was murdered 50 days after His Majesty had gave the speech in 1963. 50 days after His Majesty had gave a speech in the United States. Right. And then 50 days later or so, I think JFK was assassinated. Now, I might not have that accurately, but, you know, we know we're close, you know. So going through these articles, see Black Wall Street before, during, after Tulsa race massacre photos. And that's another thing, too. That's what we get to see. We don't get to see how they constructed and built up Black Wall Street. A lot of those videos were wiped off the internet. We don't get to see none of that. You know what I mean? Our children need to see that. They need to see how they people had constructed one of the best hotels ever constructed. I read about that. You know what I mean? In a cylinder style, like a circular style. It's interesting because it almost reminds me of a lot of the Oriental structures over there, like in China and some of them other, you know what I mean? And he had built one of the best hotels ever constructed. It had never been done before. All right? This is a fact. All right? But they don't tell you these stories. They want to show you these stories of how they massacred these people. You know what I mean? That's what they was. Oh, it was torn down. They keep on showing us these horrifying stories of them tearing our stuff down. You know what I mean? That is not going to help build us up as a people. All right? That's going to tell our children that y'all came and basically burnt down, shot, and murdered our people, and we don't get no reparations for that, and we just go back to whatever you wanted us to integrate into. Okay? That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? Let's see, Tulsa and Black Wall Street. Right, the Greenwood, I'm looking at this right here, this area right here, just kind of show you where I'm at. The Greenwood district existed because of a smart business transaction on the part of O.W. Gurley, a wealthy and well-connected African-American landowner. Okay, then we got the devastation of Black Wall Street. So again, we got that again, but we're looking for some more deeper information. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this is the one I was looking at. Okay, this might have been the one I was looking at right here. Black Wall Street. Let's get the name of the journalist. There goes a picture right there. Pretty cool picture. You know what I'm saying? Brother, man, sister, wife, and their child. Okay, let's go down real quick. 'Cause I really would like to give credit to them who wrote this article. And I like to try to find the article sources of the brothers and sisters that's writing some of these articles. I don't really see. Let me see. I don't see a name, but I did want to read this because it was something interesting I think I read here. If this is the article that I'm thinking about, brothers and sisters, this is the one, because it's probably another one I might have to try to fill in another vid on that. But it says this is the Williams family image provided by the Tulsa Historical Society and Museum. More information on the Williams family in section 2. So here it says, the entrepreneurial spirit and success of the Williams family, pictured above, embodies the character of Black Wall Street's thriving independent community. Like many other Black individuals and families, John and Lola Williams moved to Tulsa not only to escape racism, but to live where their business ventures and enterprises could prosper. Check that out, right? Segregation, peep game. And this is why we hear some of our elder brothers and sisters speaking about in the 50s, how they had this structure, because they were helping themselves get paid, right? They were building the manufacturing companies and they were paying their own people in their community. They didn't have to worry about them getting taken or not getting. Do you know how I feel? Let me say this. And to you brothers and sisters out there working, man, doing any kind of hard labor, you know what I mean? Let me say this. Do you know how it feels to go to work a whole week and work hard and get paid little to nothing compared to what you need to survive in the economy? You know how that makes a man feel? And imagine going through that for years, right? Because I think there was a GoFundMe. I remember hearing somebody talk about a GoFundMe about a young sister who had to go on there and plead for her father, who had been working for a company for 30 years, man. 30 years, and they didn't even want to compensate. I think it was give him a gift card, $250. Now retirement, we're going to take retirement up another year, right? Or they want to take retirement up another year. Speaking of my father, bless his heart, you know, he's still fighting for his veterans pay. You know what I mean? And it's just one of the sad things to ask me to have hope in a political party or system or people like that, my people suffering like that. You know what I mean? And I believe when Trump was coming to his wits, you know what I mean, about what was really happening, I think maybe even a spiritual awakening with the Almighty. You know what I'm saying? That when he saw what right when we were probably about to get to reparations, you know what I'm saying? They threw a wrench in that. You know what I'm saying? I remember COVID happened and all of that. You know what I mean? But I just want to make light of this. I think it's very important, you know. But let's see over here where we at. John and Lola Williams moved to Tulsa not only to escape racism, but to live where their business ventures, if you want to see where we at, right there, business ventures, enterprises could prosper. Segregation made Black Wall Street's insular economy a necessity. Peep game. Did you hear that? Segregation. It didn't say integration. I want you to peep game. Segregation was good, right? Segregation made Black Wall Street's insular economy a necessity. The necessity, however, coupled with the vision among Greenwood's residents to create a self-sufficient district, made Black Wall Street one of the most successful and affluent Black communities in U.S. history. But this is just one of the articles, brothers and sisters, that, you know, I'm looking to show you here. You know, how we work together as a community, these brothers. There was another, let's see, because there's one specific, you know, and I want to try to get to see Tulsa and Black Wall Street, the Greenwood district, because it was smart business transaction on part of, let me see if this was this article, okay? Yeah, but there's many articles, and there's one specifically even goes into the details of how the brothers began the reconstruction, you know, with the, I think he built a grocery store, a manufacturing company. They had barbershops, they had houses, they had the alleyways a certain type of way, just in case, they had their own police station. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we got to have our Black military soldiers for whatever we need them for you know what I'm saying? In the city and all that, you know what I'm saying? And our own Black show theme, because the Black officers should be handling the Black people, man. You know what I mean? Because on a racial level, you can't say, well, they being racist. You know, and if the brother get out of hand, they can handle him. Now, we're not saying that can't go wrong too, but from the looks of things, if you look at the way the racism is, it seems to be handled better. I think it can be handled better by your own race, obviously. You know what I mean? Especially coming from the Almighty's perspective. If we choose to follow the Almighty's blueprint and his goal for us, I think that could be a successful endeavor. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I'm all for the Black police department, all Black police station in the Black community. You know what I mean? I'm all for that. You know what I mean? You know, to our uncles who were sheriffs and military men, you know what I mean, that we knew, even some of the brothers that we know, they was gangsters in their day, and they changed their life around and they became soldiers, and some of them come in. I look up to them brothers. You know what I mean? There's honorable brothers to me. I love them brothers. You know what I mean? I learned a lot. Some brothers who've been to jail and been to prison have taught me educated me intelligently on some very, important things that I need to know in my life, that I needed to know. You know what I'm saying? Some of them brothers who had did time in prison used to be on the street, so they already know where your mind state is coming from as young Black males. You know what I'm saying? They will be, you know what I mean? Them kind of brothers, man. You know what I mean? They would be perfect for, if they were to change over and rehabilitate, they could really structure the youth in a good direction. You know what I'm saying? And that's another reason I chose to stay away from a lot of the idol worship. You know what I'm saying? Especially when a lot of the games that be played on social media, and you look into the streets and people end up getting murdered and all of that. You know what I mean? But yes, Yeshua Shalom, love the eyes. I'm going to pause for the call. Shalom. Ja Rastafari. L-O-J.